For more on the crisis in Libya, we can now cross live to the US and talk to radio host Stephen Lendman. Thanks so much, Stephen, for joining us here on RT. Now, there are conflicting reports on Libya, some suggesting Gaddafi's mounted a serious fight back. Others say the opposition is gaining ground. This is a very confusing situation. How do you see it at the moment?
Well, I see it very clearly. Exactly what's going on the ground, I don't know. But what I do know is that the reports, especially by Western media, especially by the U.S. media, have no basis in fact. They have no credibility. It is all propaganda. It is all misinformation. It's all based on unverified, whatever material they're getting. The so-called quote-unquote rebels, quote-unquote opposition forces, I believe these are individuals, groups, whatever, enlisted by America, enlisted by Britain, enlisted maybe by France and other Western nations, primarily the US, secondarily Britain, to oust one despot to put another one in his place. And the Libyan people, I must say, are a lot more savvy than Americans are, because they know what U.S. intervention means. They know what humanitarian means when America says we're coming to do this for you. It has nothing to do with humanitarian aid, nothing to do with democracy, nothing to do with helping the people. It's to colonize them, exploit them, steal their resources, brutalize their people, colonize the country by one means or another, either direct occupation, Iraqis, Afghans know all about that, or set up a puppet government it controls and colonize it that way. But it's to exploit Libya, and whatever people in Libya, whatever Libyans may think about Gaddafi, they will look back fondly on him.
So are you saying that the UK and the US are deliberately causing the loss of, what, well over 1,000 lives now in order to pursue their own gains? I mean, this is a very strong and controversial argument you're putting forward there.
Oh, I absolutely believe it. And of course, RT TV reported that Russian military satellite imagery proved that there have been no bombings, there's no destruction on the ground. I quoted you in my last article. And I mean, these reports about one side or against another, there is one side against the other. But I believe the so-called opposition has been recruited by America and Britain primarily, and very important, for weeks, maybe longer, U.S. and British Special Forces troops have been inside Libya on the ground, in Benghazi, in Tobruk, and CIA agents have been in Libya for decades.
Well, many. Let me just ask you this. We're actually seeing interestingly designed posters looking quite professional, saying that the Libyans don't want foreign intervention. And yet, if we see this foreign intervention happening on maybe a subtle scale at the moment, as you're suggesting, but if we see intervention whereby we've got the UK and the US forces on standby to do what we could say is an official intervention, wouldn't that actually lead to what some people say all-out civil war? Or would it actually, though, save Libyan lives? And after all, that's surely the main concern here.
Oh, it will not save Libyan lives. It will cost more lives. U.S. And the West staying out will save Libyan lives. I truly believe that what Gaddafi is doing, I think Gaddafi is a despot, there's no question about that. But Gaddafi is being attacked. And international law is very clear when a country is attacked. It has the right to self-defense. And I think whatever Gaddafi is doing, he has every right to do legally to defend himself, to defend Libya, to defend the people who support him. And there are many Libyans who support him. Some of those rallies that have taken place in Tripoli are very, very real. These are pro-Gaddafi supporters, and the U.S. tries to put out reports saying this is all fabricated. They're not fabricated. There are other people who may be against him, but I would say there, if not unanimity in Libya, the overwhelming feeling of the Libyan people is that they do not want Western intervention. They are savvy. They know what that means. It definitely will cost more lives.
So could Gaddafi survive this then, do you think?
No, I don't think he will survive. I think the plan is set. I think intervention is planned. I think a war is coming. I think there will be attacks. I think there will be a no-fly zone. And a no-fly zone is an act of war that virtually always is followed by air attacks, again, claimed to be humanitarian intervention. Iraq is the most prominent on my mind. Yugoslavia in the 1990s was the other one, using this as a provocation to wage war and destroy the country, balkanize it.
Stephen, many will be people are saying to you, though, that people are dying. We see reports of the Libyans saying, please help us. All right, put aside Western intervention. What about the idea that maybe Libya's neighbours, Tunisia, Egypt, the military there, which of course are now in charge of those countries, should they not be playing a part in this, along with the Arab League?
Well, the only problem with that is these countries are very much subservient to Washington. So if the Egyptian military came in, the Tunisian military, they would literally be arms of America, especially Egypt. I mean, we supply Egypt with on the order of $1.5 billion a year military aid. They basically take their orders from the Pentagon. And if they come in, it would be a proxy force representing Washington. To me, that would be a terrible idea.
So many people might say, look, you're saying leave the country to its own fate. There are those who say if you do that, then a vacuum will be formed. After all, where has there been a coordinated opposition for the last 42 years there in Libya, and could actually make way for an Islamic fundamentalist state? And many argue in the West that that could actually happen. What do you make of that?
Oh, I'm not worried about a fundamentalist state, but I don't think Washington worries about that either. They only are concerned whether they have a leader that they can 100% control. They don't care whether he is a religious fundamentalist, a dictator. The one thing they do not want is a Democrat. A Democrat is anathema to Washington. And fundamentalism, whatever, that is off the table. Independent forces coming in, that might be a fine idea, but not the ones that the West chooses. Let Libyans choose the independent force they would like to come in to serve as peacekeepers or whatever.
So let's quickly widen this argument away from Libya and see what's going on in the wider area, North Africa and the Middle East. Some are saying that what we've seen in Tunisia and Egypt is the start of a wave of a democratic movement throughout the region. You wouldn't agree with that?
Oh, I believe that the people passion is very, very real. The Egyptians, the Tunisians, the Yemenis, the Algerians, the Jordanians, the people on the street are very real. What they want is very real. And in most of these countries, all of the ones I just mentioned, Libya is a little different. Libya does not have the deep poverty and unemployment that these other countries have. But in the other countries, it's a combination of repression, poverty, unemployment, lack of services that they need. These are the and democracy. These are the changes they want, but they're not getting it. The Egyptians have got nothing. They got rid of Mubarak, and the Pentagon and the Egyptian military did the pushing. And what do they get in its place? They got a military junta controlled by Washington. That is not democracy. That is not freedom. And the same thing has happened in Tunisia so far. They got rid of Ben Ali. They have gotten nothing in return for it.
OK, Stephen, we'll have to leave it there. It's been a lengthy conversation with you. Very interesting to hear your point of view. Thanks for joining us live from Chicago. Radio host Stephen Lemon.
Thank you so much.